here we are. I want to start out by, I just cannot express to you how appreciative Stewart and I both are of the expressions of kindness and thoughtfulness and caring and concern that you have sent our way, both of us, because we have both suffered a lot of damage. First of all, I want to say that we are safe. We had quite a bit of drama in my neighborhood and on my street. Some of you probably saw the video that I put up earlier. We had a fire next door. Transformers have been blown on my street. We still don't have power on my end of the street. The other side does. We may not get power, well, let's just say into the indeterminate future. I have no idea. We also are very blacked out because we don't have any Wi-Fi. We kind of don't know what's going on unless somebody in the old-fashioned way tells us what's going on. But again, I just can't convey. I have shed many a tear, not just over my beloved trees, but out of your kindness. And the message of those messages, and excuse me if I'm not very articulate, this is kind of hard for me to do, I'm not going to lie. But the messages that are particularly poignant to me are the ones that come from those of you who are likewise suffering from the California fires. Those of you in Colorado, in the areas that are now getting all sorts of hurricane damage. All of my friends at Southern Living in Alabama who are suffering right now. There are just many, many forms of heartache right now. Those of you who've lost loved ones to the pandemic, I am very well aware that despite this, we are so lucky, and you guys are just the best. I mean that. It is just, particularly in this time of just of conflict in our country and the politicization of everything. To garden is to suffer, and we are all a community, and I just cannot thank you. I can't thank you enough. It means the world to both of us. Stewart, doesn't it mean the world to you too? He even broke his own rules, and while he wasn't on camera, he put up a video of his gorgeous oak tree that was devastated. We had great plans for his front yard, and those have kind of just all been sidelined for right now. But I just want to give you a brief tour. First of all, those of you in Oklahoma who follow me on any of my social media channels, please be careful. Please, first do no harm to yourself, to your trees. When you get over that initial stage of grief and shock, just be careful. You don't want to end up in the hospital, and you don't want to prematurely do any damage to your trees that might thrive in the future. So first, do no harm. I got my hard hat out, but it's not windy today. It was windy yesterday, and I wasn't out here at all. I have had some work done already that I left to the professionals with their chainsaws. You can see my wall of wood in the front. It looks like the beaches of Normandy because there's just been so much damage. And this is just the front yard. I will show you the backyard a little bit later. It didn't suffer nearly as much. Anecdotally, those of us that faced south had a lot more devastation than those who faced north. On their trees, on their houses, their power lines, everything. And hopefully you can hear me because there's generators going on all around in the neighborhood, and we're doing what we can. And hopefully I won't run out of charge as we're filming this, because I am living off of my own tiny little generator and the kindness of strangers to power up our cameras and my phone. You can see that there's been a lot of damage to the understory landscape, a lot of my boxwoods. In particular, this entire mound of azaleas has been completely destroyed. So I'm going to have to think about what to do. I had recently posted something about lots of encore azaleas that I had planted under here. They were just getting ready to bloom. They were full of buds, both here and over there. All of those have been devastated. My double file viburnum that bloomed for the first time this year it is destroyed. These Foster hollies, Stewart, be careful not to trip on all of the debris. These Foster hollies underneath here were basically just sheared by multiple massive limbs. I don't know if Stewart can kind of show. Look at the magnitude and the weight of that trunk. Again, this oak tree is around 100 years old. I call it my statehood tree because it was planted either just before or just after statehood in 1916 here in Oklahoma. And it really struck me, you know, you have those moments that you just focus on and you kind of just capture. And night before last, when there was a fire behind my neighbor's house and there were like 6 fire trucks and transformers were blowing, it seemed very apocalyptic. But then I kind of noticed that all the firefighters had on masks, and I thought, gosh, what a strange time. What a strange time in history. What a strange time. What a strange year. 2020 is just, let's just say it's one for the record books. So we continue to clean up. I'll be doing it for a very long time. Those of you that are in Oklahoma or in any devastated area, I do want you to know, my friends out there, I am here for you. We can grieve together. In a weird way, it's important for you to know and for me to let you know that if you see my gardens on Instagram or you see them on YouTube and you think, oh, everything is just always perfect and everything is just always right in the world, it's not. And this is just life. This is what Mother Nature does. And I worked to make it beautiful in the past. I often say there are so many different forms of beauty, of garden beauty, and it's one of the reasons I like to show all of these different garden tours, because beauty is kind of subjective, and there's just different forms of beauty, and I try to convey that in the garden tours that Stewart and I shoot. So I will be able to make this beautiful again, but it will speak a different language, and I'll have to figure out and navigate my way to get to that point. But I will get there. You can get there along with me. I promise to share whatever I know, that I know personally, but also that I know from all my friends that are landscape professionals. I will pass that along to you so we can all rebuild and regrow together. I know that my partners at Southern Living and different places, they will help us as much as they can recover from this. My poor encore azaleas, but we will recover. And I want to show you just a little bit. I'll very carefully navigate over here. And I want you to know I'm not going to be in any hurry. Some of my neighbors' yards and landscapes are practically already cleaned up because they didn't have nearly the damage that I did, or they don't have the trees. But this is a case where I'm going to try to be patient and not try to keep up with the Joneses. I'll get it cleaned up as best I can, but I want to salvage as many plants as I can too. So I want to be careful of that. But if you'll come over here, a couple of things. This is just one example of how I'll be rethinking things. My window box that in the past was in full shade will now in the future be in full sun. I'm so glad that the ice didn't bring down the window box off of the house. So that is a little perk. It didn't touch this guy. Over here is a different story. My garden bench, kind of suffered some damage. I remember I've got downed jack-o'-lanterns, downed pumpkins, downed skeletons all over the place. And I recall in our last horrific ice storm back in 2007, it was right before Christmas. And I remember cleaning up wreaths and Christmas trees and all sorts of greenery we had hung. That was destroyed. This year, it's all about Halloween. This is my Halloween version of the epic ice storm. This is pretty much toast. We have insurance adjusters coming out to see what kind of damage there may have been to the roof. Stewart, if you don't mind panning from this way, this is my new panorama, you guys. And this is, you've seen the before. This is the after the storm. And then I'll show you what it looks like after again, hopefully after it gets revived. And next spring is beautiful again. And here's my parting note, because as an expression of I guess, renewal and hope for the future, these arrived yesterday, thousands and thousands of flower bulbs from color blends that I will try to plant in anticipation of next spring. Again, my heart goes out to you guys. Thank you so much, and Stewart and I will stay in touch.